Recently, I was asked to write an article about the immigrant children being stripped and kidnapped away from their parents and held in concentration camps and imprisoned. And at first, when I was first asked to write about this, I was reluctant because I didn't know a whole lot about it. I haven't been as abreast on current events as I really need to be. I stopped watching the news and I hadn't really been as involved on social media, and of course social media isn't always, or really isn't ever, the best place to get all of your information from anyway. But as I began to do the research and I saw how universal this information is and how basically, it's reported on mainstream media, it's reported on mainstream news outlets, and that it is generally accepted as truth, and it is truth. These facilities that these children have been kept in are completely closed to the public. No one has access to these places other than the people who are involved. We have no idea what is going on. We already know about people who have been murdered and killed, which there is no person that I believe is illegal. But anyway, we know that these people who have been undocumented have been murdered, have been killed, have been sexually assaulted, have been assaulted, period, in other ways. And
our government has absolutely no accountability in this matter. There have been no checks and balances, and we should assume the worst. We know that separating a child for even 5 minutes away from their parents is a traumatizing experience for them.
I have not been as vigilant as I should have been or should be. The night that I was writing the article, we learned that Jeff Sessions was going to be here in New Orleans speaking to a group of sheriffs.
Jeff Sessions has not only publicly supported what our nation is doing at the borders, but he's also quoted scriptures as if God is in favor of detaining and kidnapping children and imprisoning them and separating them from their families. As a nation, we should all be standing up and fighting for these children who are in a very vulnerable position, who have no advocate. We should be advocating for them. On the morning of Monday, June 18th, we gathered together in protest of Jeff Sessions and what our nation is doing to these children and to these families.
At some point, we decided that we were going to go and take the street over. So we walked into the street, and as we were walking into the street, there was this man who drove up in this white truck. Now, this man who drove up in this white truck, I didn't get all of the footage because I was one of the ones who was standing there in front of this truck as this truck was plowing through us as if we were not there. Alright, so I stepped to the side, and then once I realized how much of a maniac this man was, I turned my camera on and I started recording. And at one point you can see that I actually turned away because I thought that the worst had happened at that point. But then something told me to turn back around, and as I turn back around, you'll see that I catch him basically running this woman over. Her head was less than 6 inches, less than half a foot from this man's tire.
He ran a person over. He ran a person over.
Signal 100I, freaking right there. We watched him do it. I was 1 or 2 feet from him. He left the scene on. I was 2 feet from her. He ran her over.
He needs to be in jail. You need to arrest him. He ran somebody over. Y'all could have at least detained him. In the least. Call for backup. Somebody needs to go pick him up.
No, ma'am. We're on the radio. Okay. I'm not. But I know PD is coming.
Is this what you're saying? Somebody next to you?
I got it.
Somebody else got the license plate.
After we saw that, myself and about 4 or 5 other people ran after this man. He stopped not far from this incident and stopped at a red light where there were two women police officers standing at the red light, posted up, just chilling there, standing there, like nothing's going on. And so we're yelling at the police officers, stop this man, he just ran over this lady. And the police officers are like, we didn't see it. What are you talking about? We didn't see it. These two women, and we're telling them, look, stop him. He ran over a woman. They were looking puzzled, aloof, like they couldn't understand. Like, oh my gosh, are you speaking English? All right. And then this man drives off. He was at the stoplight for like 20 seconds, and then they let him drive off. And when he drove off, then they say, oh, you're talking about that woman in the orange shirt? Ma'am, lady, woman, whoever, whatever. I thought you didn't see. I thought you didn't know what we were talking about. How is it that police officers, women police officers, they didn't even detain him, didn't even question this man who ran this woman over and drove off? She hit her head. It could have been worse. It could have been so much worse. And they're sitting there looking lost, looking spaced out, empty-headed. It is just ridiculous to me that any of this or even all of this had transpired on yesterday. We are standing here protesting our government's kidnapping and imprisoning children, many of them under 4 years old. Over 2,000 children have been separated from their families and from their parents, and who knows how many. We have no way to document, to count, to force our government to be accountable. We have no way to check what is going on. They will not even allow people inside the facilities. We have no idea what's going on. All we know is the few photos that have been leaked, the audio that's been leaked. That is all that we know. And as a U.S. citizen, as a person, as a minority, as a black woman, whoever you are, whatever ethnicity you are, whatever race, whatever gender, whatever sexuality, whatever religious background, whatever spiritual background, whoever you are, you should not allow yourself to be sitting by as these children are being traumatized and these families are being traumatized and treated as if they are less or even worse than animals.
He was out here secretly addressing sheriffs from across the country, and when our people, when the community, when New Orleans tried to step into its own convention center, what happened? Police arrested the one brown protester that was up there. Police arrested Ana Rodriguez just for shouting the truth that families are being jailed at the border. Is Ana Rodriguez stripping breastfeeding children away from their mothers? No! Is Ana Rodriguez holding children in jail? No! Who's doing that? Who's doing that? And whoever's watching around the country, we need to plant the phone line. We need to support the people that took a stand and were arrested today in the name of everyone who's being arrested and harassed and profiled and jailed and assassinated by police across the country.
Never be defeated.
The people united.
Will never be defeated.
The people
Will never be defeated.